Twitter is on its deathbed. While not completely dead in the way many on the left would hope, it's a new company now. And we knew this was coming for a long time, but last night, Elon Musk sent out an email saying Twitter will become the everything app. And he rebranded the company to X. In fact, this merger has been happening for some time. Elon isn't doing it overnight because we all learned those lessons 20, 30 years ago. You can't just do everything overnight. And so he has slowly been transforming Twitter into X. We've known that he planned to do this. And the biggest change is the rebrand. Twitter no longer has the bird logo. It has the X logo. And here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Good or bad? You tell me. I'll tell you what I think. I don't believe that Elon Musk purchased Twitter because the Babylon Bee got censored. I think that was just, it played a role. You know, Elon Musk is laughing at Babylon Bee jokes. They get censored and he says, okay, let's buy this app. There's a real reason Elon Musk purchased Twitter, and it was to accelerate X. He has not been shy about telling us all that. Well, I should say, I don't think Elon ever really came out and said explicitly that the Babylon Bee got censored, therefore he must buy this. Or if he did, I don't think he's saying this is the only reason he would do something like this. I think Elon Musk is being strategic. He wants the everything app. He wants messaging, banking, video posting, communications all in one place. It's interesting because in the early days of the internet, that's exactly what we had with companies like AOL. That was the everything app. You double click the little exe. If you wanted to go online, you had to go through their dial up, and then you had your hub, and you had everything in this one space. Granted, it wasn't an app. You weren't going and swiping AOL to purchase things. But there's a bigger question and a bigger issue at hand. Artificial intelligence and where all of this is going. So certainly, let's talk about the rebrand, the death of Twitter. Man, I've come a long way for me from the interview I did with Joe Rogan, the discussion I had with Twitter's former executives, to now they're no longer being a Twitter. But the bigger question I have has to do with where we as a society go as we move further and further into this digital space. The scary thing is, partly based on what I've experienced over the past week, I've been out, maybe you've noticed, and getting medical treatment. And there's a lot that I witnessed directly as it pertains to the death of culture, artificial intelligence, and technology over this past week. It really was a really, really interesting week. I was in Tijuana getting medical treatment for my hip. The excellent people over at the Cellular Performance Institute were able to spare me any kind of surgery and help deal with my hip problem in other ways. And in the process of being in Tijuana, seeing the border, hearing these stories, dealing with these big companies, you know, when we to clarify, when I was flying back, we had a big problem with United in that they have no staff, all automated. And this brings me to the problems of the border, the problems of major corporations, and how terrifying this new world is going to be that we are entering. We're not in it completely, but we're about to enter it. And Elon Musk says X will be the everything app. And a lot of people say that with Elon Musk's new XAI company and ChatGPT, it's going to get a whole lot crazier. But they're saying it's going to be a good thing. Good thing, maybe, maybe not. I don't know. Don't ask me. What I will say is already we are entering a new realm of virtual reality and virtual spaces. From the attempts by Mark Zuckerberg to launch the metaverse, which was an apocalyptic failure, to now video game characters who can speak to you in real time using this language, predictive language modeling. Used to be in a video game. Y'all played Mario. You go into the castle and there's Toad, and Toad says, "Thank you, Mario, but your prince is in another castle." The most rudimentary form of communication in these games. In Zelda, you walk into the cave right when you start, and it says, "It's dangerous out there, you know, take this," or "dangerous to go alone," whatever he says. There's the little moblin who says it's a secret to everybody, and then you get the rupees. That was rudimentary communications. Now we're at the point where you can speak into a microphone to the game, and the non-player character will respond in a unique way generated by AI. It is not going to be this beautiful future. It's going to be a nightmare dystopia. But we'll get into all that, and I'll tell you about my travels in this past week because it does relate to all of this in a really interesting way. Wondering why it is we have the border the way we do. Hearing stories from people about what it used to be like, and then I realized something. Almost all of our problems, it's the death of culture. It is the fragmentation of the human mind and community, the death of the home, the death of home economics in schools. All of this ties to one thing, and that is we're probably going to go into a reality where we all live in these hyper virtual worlds where we don't interact with each other at all because that's the trend. And that's it. It all comes crashing down. Let's read the story about Twitter first so I can give you some breaking news. Daily Mail says Twitter rebrands to X. Elon Musk officially ditches the bird logo after sending staff late night email and says social media platform will become an everything app with instant messaging, banking, and more. Sounds so great, doesn't it? Tweeting a picture of the company's new logo, a white X on a black background, late Sunday night, Twitter's new chief executive, Linda Yaccarino, said, X is here. Let's do this. X will be, quote, powered by AI and will connect us in ways we're just beginning to imagine. Yaccarino said, the new changes are a step closer to Musk's previously stated idea for an everything app that would combine social media, instant messaging, banking, and other ventures. It's kind of like what they do in China. They have what do they have? Is it Weibo? Musk has since changed his profile picture to the company's new logo, which he described as a minimalist art deco, and his Twitter bio to x.com, which now redirects to twitter.com. Founded in 2006, Twitter takes its name from the sound of birds chattering, and it has used avian branding since its early days. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. The big question is, are we still going to call them tweets? What do you say, posts? Check out my post on X. I don't know. There's powerful branding in this icon that was created, tweet. Everybody knows what a tweet is. It's in all of these. This is the interesting thing about getting rid of it. You can go and watch Family Guy. You can go and the whole episode of Family Guy about Brian Griffin tweeting something and getting canceled. If tweet no longer means anything because of a rebranding decision, what does that mean culturally? I don't know. I'm just saying it's an interesting question. In a late night email, Musk wrote to Twitter employees confirming, and now hold on there a minute. This company merged with X some time ago, I'm pretty sure. Elon Musk has reportedly merged Twitter with X Corp. Here's everything we need to know about his ideas for an everything app. This is April 11th, 2023. So, Twitter employees? More like they've been X employees for some time. He says, we are indeed changing to X and that it would happen today. This is my last message from a Twitter email. He added before signing off with a salute emoji. So what's going to happen to twitter.com? They'll probably keep it and it'll probably always redirect to X. But there's the logo. The change is here. What's happening? About.twitter.com. Oh, that's funny. Elon Musk changed his Twitter profile. I like the logo. I think the logo is pretty great, actually. It's cleverly done. It's well done. It's well done. Late Sunday, announcing the changes, Musk and Yaccarino confirmed the social media app would move quickly into payments, banking, and commerce. Musk earlier tweeted that if a good enough X logo is posted tonight, we'll make it go live worldwide tomorrow. And then he posted his own logo. So, you know, he had earlier addressed the Twitter logo's departure. Soon we shall bid adieu to the Twitter brand and gradually all birds. Musk also tweeted that under the site's new identity, a post would be called an X. No. That's terrible, man. Whatever, dude. I don't really care all that much. The changes were not visible on the website on Monday. They say we're not visible. The Tesla and SpaceX owner also spoke on a Twitter space and audio live stream on the platform, stating that the changes should have been done a long time ago. Sorry it took so long. No, I don't think they wanted it to take place a long time ago. We learned this story a long time ago. It's the legend of eBay. The website was yellow. One day they changed it to white. Everybody complained. It was disastrous, so they changed it back. And then every day from there, they slowly incremented the background color 1 degree towards white until a year later, the background was white and no one noticed the change. Facebook learned this lesson early on. They used to do these massive platform updates and everyone would get really angry. Why? Because everything moved around. It's like, here's my inbox, here's my messages, here's how I find my friends. You wake up one day and it's all different. And you're like, ugh, okay, what do I got to click? People complained about it. What did they learn? Do it in batches. A small group of people would be like, oh, my profile changed. Nobody would care because it was a minority of people saying it. So I don't think Elon Musk really did want to come out and just flip the switch. I think this gradual change has been intentional and will continue to gradually change slowly. Eventually, people will stop using Twitter. Eventually, the Twitter app will have to be renamed X. And then you'll have the X app on your phone. But they can't do it right away. They've got to do it in a few months. And probably for only some people, not everybody will update. The app will still work as Twitter, but then people will update to X. Then one day you'll open Twitter and say, you must update this app. Boom, X. And they're going to get massive brand value. But they don't want massive complaints. They don't want people to leave the platform. Recently, you all heard, I, as well as several others, were gifted payments from Twitter. Now, look, I don't seriously use Twitter in the way that some people do. The Krasensteins, for instance, liberal commentators, made something like $26,000 from their engagement on Twitter. And that's awesome. I actually like the Krasensteins. I disagree with them, but they're fun Twitter personalities. Some people were annoyed by them, still are. But I appreciate, respect people of differing opinions. Maybe they're wrong about things, but I think the interactions are pretty good. Plus, it's kind of funny to see the mainstream media call these liberal guys far right because they got paid by Twitter. That one's good. That one's good. Well, they do work out. As I warned him too. I tweeted. This is really funny. Brian Krasenstein, he's a liberal guy. He posted a video of him working out. I was like, "Careful, Brian. You're going to turn conservative. You keep working out." And it was a joke. And then, these liberals are like making fun of me or whatever. And I'm like, dude, I'm kidding. I like that he's working. I said, keep it up, bro. It's great. Work out. It's good for you. But this is the interesting thing about the payments. And the reason I bring it up. It's step one. Facebook tried launching Threads. I tried using Threads. I had a lot of complaints about it. They're like, one day you'll be able to get a feed of people you follow. No joke. On Threads, the Instagram app, you can't actually follow the people you follow. Like you can, but your feed will be mixed with a bunch of random garbage. So why am I using this? What am I looking at? I don't care about what there's like some guy I've never heard of, like, Raz Shockmaster. And he's like, yo, I just drank another 40 today. And I'm like, I don't know you, dude. Your life is not interesting to me. On Twitter, I'm following world leaders, activists, journalists, personality, media and political personalities and cultural personalities. Yeah, I choose that because that's what interests me. Threads doesn't interest me. Here's what's going to happen. The reason they're launching payments, well, for one, it was to compete with Instagram, obviously. This big shift was potentially happening. So then, boom, here's money. Now there's a real reason to post shows, to post videos, and we'll probably start doing that. In fact, we're exploring simulcasting Timcast IRL onto Twitter, or I should say onto X. Because if we make money from doing it, that'd be great. I think Elon needs to really kick up that live streaming capability. Elon, shout out. Live streaming with real-time chat would be fantastic. And even something akin to a super chat feature. Here's what I would tell you, Elon Musk. Launch something like super chats for Twitter and keep the cut low. Because right now on YouTube, it's like 30%, 35% goes to YouTube. If Elon were to launch a live streaming thing, subsidize it, or at least run it at cost, I think YouTube might actually subsidize it. And someone gave $10 and you got $10 or even 9 or 8, you're beating YouTube by a long shot. This is where we're going. He's going to make it the everything app. Elon Musk wants us to use this for everything. Here's the X logo on the Twitter building. And now it all comes in together. Why is it that Elon took the W out and called it Titter? He was attacking the brand. He said from the get-go, this was his plan. He tweeted this in October 2022. Buying Twitter is an accelerant for creating X, the everything app. I'm not so convinced this will be a good thing. Sorry. I like Elon Musk. I think he does a lot of really great things. I think SpaceX, one of the most important things we've seen ever. This massive endeavor to build a starship and satellites. I flew on a plane from San Diego to Las Vegas with a company called JSX. It's effectively a private flight, but it's a regional airline, no different than, say, like United Express. Do they still exist? Or American Eagle. Don't know if they still exist either. But so they're small jets, Embraers, 30-seaters, but they fly out of a private terminal. So it's like no security. Just walk on the tarmac, you get in. It's fantastic. On this plane, they had Starlink. I'm sitting on a plane and I got 12 megabits up. Starlink, amazing. So I think Elon's doing a lot of great work. But I got to tell you some other stuff. I got to tell you some other stuff about my experiences. And I want to show you a few stories. Here's one. Lowe's fires elderly woman who was punched 3 times trying to stop a robbery. Man, the 68-year-old woman has worked at the Rincon Lowe's for 13 years, said. Here's another one from the post-millennial. Former Kmart in Portland that became a homeless squat burns down in huge fire. These stories. Why do we see these stories? Why are we hearing these stories? You know what I realized? Something I've talked about quite a bit. I shouldn't say I realized it. It's not the laws. It's culture. And where we're going with AI and technology will be the further death of culture. And I don't think it will be a good thing. So I'm down in Tijuana getting some medical treatment from our friends over at the Cellular Performance Institute. It was amazing. I had been looking into going to the doctor. Of course, you saw I was out for a week. I have a hip problem. I should say had for the most part. And we were concerned it was a labrum tear. That's what I had said. I had spoken to a doctor, some other pro athletes, and they said your symptoms are indicative of torn cartilage. You got to get this taken care of. There's a bunch of different treatments for it. The older version is the oldest is take painkillers, good luck, have a nice day. The oldest was sorry, your leg hurts. Later on, they eventually said we can take, cartilage or tissues and we can stitch it up and sew it back together. And then eventually we got to platelet-rich plasma and stem cell treatments, which they do here in the U.S. The only problem is it takes way too long. I was told it would be 2 weeks before my initial consultation. If we're going to do an MRI, it was going to be a week after that. So long story short, went down to Tijuana, where, so you may have heard of this Cellular Performance Institute from the Joe Rogan podcast, where Eddie Bravo talked about getting his shoulder fixed. And boy, did they patch me up super quick. Got everything done. It was bang, bang, bang. Day one, MRI, IV treatments, and I got good news. They were able to spare me surgery. They were able to give me some treatments, which, long story short, I think, seriously, I can't believe how quickly it alleviated the problem. Basically, I have the simple version of it, because I'm not going to get into my full medical history. A series of consistent traumatic hip injuries from skateboarding for nearly 30 years. And they were like, it's caused some damage, so we can help you fix it. And they basically did. And I'm really excited for that. But here's the real reason for one, there's the update. I'm back. My leg seems to be almost completely better. My mind is blown. Shout out to Scott over at CPI. Really great, man. That story from Rogan and Eddie Bravo, no joke, man, no joke. It's amazing. It's amazing. But it does talk to the horrifying nature of medical care in the United States, because so many people go to Mexico for their medical care, dental care, and I went to Tijuana for this. But here's some of the stories I learned while I'm down there. We went to the Tijuana border. We're standing on the beach, and there's the fence that goes out into the ocean. On the other side, not really much there, some seagulls, some birds, and some border patrol officers in the United States. I'm on the Mexican side. And on the Mexican side, there's people partying, there's a boardwalk. It's really, really quite amazing. It was really cool. And the hospital, the clinic was literally just right there. And this is a crazy story, true story. I got to tell you, I was in an Uber. We were leaving the clinic, heading back to our hotel. And the driver told me that he had lived illegally in the United States for something like 12 or 20 years. It's hard to understand. English wasn't his first language. And we're like, wow. He says, Mom got sick. And so he came back down to Mexico to see her. He could not get back into the United States. He had entered legally decades ago and stayed and seemed to have no problems. But he couldn't get back in now. And he says, it sucks. I hate it. I don't want to be here. He wanted to be back up in Northern California or something. So he spoke with traffickers. He literally called them traffickers. This is the crazy thing. He says, so the traffickers bring me to the wall and it's 40 feet and he's climbing it with a ladder. And when he gets to the top, they took the ladder down. They took it down. So he's stuck. He falls 40 feet and he said he shattered his pelvis. And he's like, he's going to try it again. And I'm just like, man, that's great. For one thing, why are you telling me this? That's what he told us. Maybe he was lying. I don't know. It's a crazy story, though. I'm sad the guy got hurt. I understand how amazing this country is and why you'd want to be here. But, dude, I don't know. Something about it's just like, look, man, I guess you can call it winning the childbirth lottery to be born here in the United States. Everybody wants to be here, but we can't just allow everyone to jump the fence and come on in. But why is that? Here's the interesting thing. We returned from Tijuana and we're in San Diego. And I think we were talking to our Uber driver who said that he's lived there his whole life. It was a cab driver. I don't think it was an Uber driver. And that his grandfather had lived there as well. And back then, long time ago, I don't know about his grandfather, actually. He said the stories he was told is that there didn't used to be a border. You'd literally just drive across. It was just an imaginary line. And people from Mexico would come and work in the U.S. and people in the U.S. would go down and work in Mexico. It was just no different than a state line. But the difference was your allegiance, your access to public goods and things like that. And it was very much like this is all pre-taxation. Something interesting happens. We begin taxing people. The government begins saying, we're going to take a portion of your money and we're going to apply that to public goods. Well, now you've got an issue of citizenship. Now it's, hey, look, no one really cares what you're doing because, no one's getting taxed. We all just live and work and we're all living here peacefully. Once you get an income tax, all of a sudden it's like, hey, man, they take my money to pay for all this stuff. You coming here and taking from the public pool without paying is a problem for me. This is what ends up happening. This shift, this expansion of government and this breakdown of community results in harsher borders. But I think the real issue is it didn't used to matter because when these things were happening, you would just say outright, like, hey, look, man, we provide these things to our citizens. That's not you. But there's no scruples anymore, and there's no community. There's no sense of nation for the most part. It's falling apart. There are a lot of people who like this, a lot of people who don't. But ultimately, what I ended up seeing was our problems stem from a lack of community and culture. Why do we need a border barrier? Because these people who are trying to jump the fence, they don't care about you. They don't care about us. They care about themselves. They want something. So we build massive bollard fencing, walls, whatever you want to call it, to keep them out because they don't share our convictions. They don't share community with us. They would seek to just come here to benefit themselves. As the saying when it was John F. Kennedy, ask not what what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. Interesting thought. And there are a lot of people who want to come here who just want to benefit. Economic migrants. They're not here to make this country great. They're not here to make it better. And thus, what do we see? The rise of a multicultural democracy versus a constitutional republic. And that's where I think Twitter, to bring it all back together, and the X app may actually make things worse. Look, you have people who like Donald Trump, people who like Ron DeSantis. DeSantis ain't doing so well, but people who like him, these people tend to believe in this country. They tend to want a strong America, a unified America, a community of Americans. And that includes immigrants. Not everybody is for immigration, but you come here legally, you are allowed to become an American. It's the American dream, right? The problem is, for too long, we've had people come to this country who don't care about our culture, our community, our way of life, not citizens, and with increasing numbers, displacing the people in this country who actually do care about it. A couple generations of people coming in this country and having kids who grew up on their traditional values from other countries, and what makes America starts to get pushed aside. This fracturing of community results in breakdown in law and order, corruption, theft, crime. Go look at ancient Rome. You can't maintain a society this way. Elon Musk is launching this AI, right? Already, AI is kind of creepy because people isolate themselves, and they're going to with AI girlfriends and AI virtual reality worlds where all of your dreams will come true and the computer will just give you whatever you want. And creating this everything app, I think the internet is actually fracturing everything. I'm not saying he's wrong to do it. It's the natural progression, I suppose. We're going to buy everything using one app. It may actually make things easier, and perhaps I could be wrong. Perhaps having one app for everything brings people together. But it really does seem like instead, we used to go to our neighbors, talk to them, borrow things from them. Now we're online. We don't communicate with our neighbors. A dude who lives right on top of someone else in New York has nothing in common with the guy he lives right next to. The guy on the bottom might be a furry who's into a bunch of, unicycling and anime. And the guy above him might be a classic pianist who, works at a classy upscale bar, and they have nothing in common and nothing to talk about. But online, they find all those things. So what's happening is effectively the digitization of our culture, pixelization, where it used to be more analog, waves. A building, a lot of people would share similar values and views. They all live together for a reason. These places still exist. You've got, say, like the Hasidic Jewish community in New York. They all live together. They share values. They dress similarly. They live near each other. But with the digitization, you now have one apartment is a Hasidic Jew. One apartment is a Roman Catholic. One apartment is a secular atheist. They don't talk to each other, but they go online and they connect with people. It was funny. I saw a meme. Somebody was posting something really weird, and someone commented as like 4chan or something saying, back in the day, this person would have been shamed and humiliated, but because of the internet, they can isolate themselves, find other degenerates online to back them up and support them, and they feel good about it. Kind of creepy, right? Like, I've talked about this with AOC. Why does she get elected? Not because her policies are good. It's because she can find resources online from other weirdos. Here's how it goes. You live in New York City. You go knock on doors. You better represent the majority of values of New Yorkers. AOC certainly does not. I mean, the polls prove it. But she can go online, network with all the other weirdos who think the same thing she does, and they'll give her money, and then she's going to win. She can go online and connect with enough people to win a primary, and then because of the way politics goes, she wins. And this is exactly where we are headed in a worse way. XAI. I don't know if Elon is going to go dark with it. Maybe he's actually trying to guide it and fix it. There's certainly things to criticize the guy over. But if you can go online right now and find a crackpot weirdo who agrees with you and then end up getting elected for office, imagine what it's going to be like if, as a crackpot weirdo, you go online and the AI just becomes that face. I want you to imagine this. You're online speaking to your best friend, and this may already be the case with dead internet theory. You're online talking to someone you met, they're really cool. Now imagine you're holding your phone and there is a black tentacle from a gigantic million-tentacled beast with a hideous face and fangs. And what you're actually talking to is the tentacle. Like in that Futurama movie, remember that? You think you're talking to a person, but is the demonic appendage of a gigantic monster we've created. It may already be the case. Now, for me, I don't have to tell you, I'm in Vegas and I see a bunch of people like, hey, what's up, man? We love the show. So I know that y'all actually exist for the most part. Maybe some of you don't. But imagine that with Twitter or any other app. Anonymous, faceless personalities agreeing or disagreeing with you. You'll go on Twitter. You'll say, I think we should have closed borders. And then you will get slammed by a bunch of people you think you're fans being like, well, maybe not completely closed. We want immigration, right? Like it'll be more moderate. What you're really hearing is the tentacled AI beast. And you won't know it. That's the scary reality. Now, maybe that will unify culture, but I don't think it'll unify culture in a very positive way. And that's the scary thing all about it. We may already be under the control of this monster machine. Dead internet theory says that most people online are gone and it's just bots. But that'll be reality. You'll go onto Twitter and you'll say something like, hey, man, we should be forced to get medicated. And then you get slammed with millions of posts being like, you're exaggerating, you're hyperbolic, calm down. And then you feel shunned and ostracized. And you say, did I say something wrong? Everybody's mad at me. When in reality, it's just the machine. In reality, most humans feel the same way. You'll own nothing and you'll be happy. They want to separate you, isolate you, make you hate your neighbor. Because if you don't communicate with your neighbor, how do you know what people really think? Thus, the lockdowns. You could go online. All of your opinions were being filtered by the Twitter machine and its algorithm. Say one thing and it was gone. Say the right thing and they'll promote it. So no longer were you talking to your neighbors about the values they actually held, what they agreed with or disagreed with. You were only saying or hearing what the machine would let you see or hear. Welcome to that nightmare dystopia, my friends. I'll wrap it up with some personal whinging, but something I think is relevant. On our way back, here's the story. We go to Tijuana, I'm getting medical treatment, and boy, let me just say this. I've been having range of motion issues for months, and it got bad in the past week to the point where I'm like, I got to go to the doctor now. I was unable to skate. I mean, I could skate, but the pain was getting tremendous. And I would rest. I'd be like, maybe there's a problem. I'd take a week off, and it would come back with vengeance. Whatever. I'm just going to say this. Got a medical treatment from these guys over at CPI, and it's better. Range of motion's 100% now. I woke up today like, wow. It's amazing. Amazing stuff. Here's the story. We come back. We're coming back from Tijuana. And a couple of the guys are like, we're going to go stop in Vegas on the way back. Some of the best food you'll ever have. Why don't you come hang out? And I said, look, we got the weekend. Why don't we just, instead of flying straight back, stop in Vegas for the day and then fly back? So that's what we did. And while we're in Vegas, we're having a good time. And so we booked with United to fly back. Flight was at 6 a.m., which means we got to wake up at like 3:30, get to the airport by 4. Boarding was at 5. At 2-something in the morning, I get an email saying they took me off my flight. We were booked first class and rebooked me on a different flight without my permission, without my knowledge, downgraded to coach in the toilet seats, not even sitting next to my girlfriend. And so we get to the airport. My ticket doesn't work. And I'm like, well, what's going on? I pull up the app and it's like, see agent. And I'm like, what? Well, that new ticket gets me through security. I get to the gate. No agents anywhere. Not a single employee. Boarding was in 20 minutes. Boarding was in like 25 minutes. And so I'm like, what do I do? So I call United. What do I get? A robot. Robot can't help me because robot doesn't understand what's going on. Amazing. Finally, they open up the gate and I ask a woman, she says, I have no idea what you're talking about. Are you on the flight or not? And I'm like, How did we get moved from our flight, which was it was a Houston to DC, to a Denver to DC, and downgraded? Am I getting a refund for that? Nothing I can do. Ultimately, it comes down to this. Do I just get on the plane and come home? Or do I, cancel the flight and then be stranded in Vegas? I'm like, I got to come home. I got to do work. I try calling another agent. Can't help me. The funniest thing I experienced was I'm standing at the counter right as they're opening, because they open at 5. And there's a woman saying, sir, I'm sorry, we can't get your bag loaded because the computers are off. And then it hit me. How hilarious is that? Dude, pick up his bag and put it on a shelf. Can't do it. Only the computer has the authority to determine if that bag can go on the plane. Now, look, I get it. I used to load planes, all right? When I was 20-some years ago, just about 20 years ago. I would load those planes, and you got to have proper weight counts and things like that. But here's the reality. We did the weight count as human beings. We would load the bags on, write down how many bags they were, do an average weight size, and give that manifest to the pilot. The fact that they couldn't put a guy's bag on the plane because the computer was off is laughable to me. Think about what life must have been like in the past. Like, well, we're going to get your bag on the plane. Write his name down on it, tie it around there, and be like, just pick it up, we'll valet it. That's what they call valeting it. They take your bag, they bring it to the gate, they load it into like, not the aft, the forward section underneath the plane, and then pull out and give back to you right when you land. Not a checked bag, it's a valet. They couldn't do it. And I'm like, this is the AI future. You are going to be talking to a person being like, I would like to, you'll have a book. You'll be at like a bookstore. Well, I shouldn't say bookstore because that's all digital. You're trying to buy food. And I'm like, I have the food. Here's the money. Take my money. And they're going to be like, I can't. The computer's down. It's like, dude, let me buy this thing from you. No, I can't. The computer's down. Yo, it is a rudimentary task. I will literally just put the money here. I'll leave. When your computer turns back on, then you can run the transaction. Sorry, I can't do it. That's where we're at. We're there. Another funny thing that happened to me was that traveling, my bank card gets frozen. It happens. And they're like, you got to put a travel alert on. There's no one to call. No joke. And I have a major bank. I call and it's like, hello. How would you like to proceed? Blah, blah, blah. And it's like, please enter your Access ID, blah, blah, blah. I do all that. It's like, how can we help you today? And then I'm like, I need a human being. I'm having problems with my debit card. And it's like, I'm sorry, I didn't get that. I can understand a wide range of questions. Try asking. And I'm like, okay, like my debit card's not working. I'm sorry, I didn't get that. Try asking again. And then I'm like, unlock, unfreeze debit card not working. Goes, it seems like you have an ATM question. I'm transferring you now. And then it transfers me to some totally unrelated business line. I'm just like, this is it. This is the nightmare dystopia. We've known about this for a long time because of social media. There's no customer service. When you got a problem with Twitter, what do? Ask your friend to tweet at Elon Musk. That's not going to work in the future. Yo, welcome to the dark side, my friends. Dystopia is here. So one thing I'll say as I wrap this up, I really want to hire a short film director, producer, filmmaker, because I really want to make these short film dystopian, videos. I want to make one where we got a couple ideas. One where it's like an incel who buys his girlfriend. A theme that's been done before, but it wouldn't be as dark and twisted. It would just be like a window into what life would be like. Don't date robots. Futurama reference. But I really want to do one where it's like a day in the life of a guy who literally can't get anything done because the system is down and what life would be like. But it wouldn't be this like dystopian view of it. It would be rather mundane. Like the guy is trying to, there's like he's a toll booth, and the toll booth operator is like, I'm sorry, man. I can't let you through. The register's not opening. It's like, well, I'm on the highway. What do I do? I'm sorry. We're just gonna have to wait. Big traffic jam. Like you can't just fan the guy through. A guy gets a ticket, a fine. He goes to court. Instead of there being a judge or anybody, it's like he goes up to a machine and it's like, hello, citizen. Or actually, it wouldn't be, that old voice of like, hello, welcome to that. We don't do that anymore. Now it would be like, hello, John, welcome to court. You've been fined $500 for speeding. And then he's going to be like, I wasn't speeding. This is an error. I'm sorry. I didn't get that. And he's going to be like, I'm not paying $500. I wasn't speeding. I'm sorry. Is that guilty? Guilty. License suspended. All that kind of stuff. That's where we're going. Anyway, this one's gone long. I should wrap it up because I got to record more segments. I'm back. I'm feeling better than ever. Again, shout out to the Cellular Performance Institute. It was such an incredible experience. Man, I got to admit, as much as I was like getting MRIs, which sucked, like I'm sweating my ass off. I'm in this tube for 40 some odd minutes and getting like IVs and like getting poked and stuff like that. It was like a mini vacation to be down in Tijuana, and I really had a great time. So I really do appreciate it. Next segment is coming up at 1 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.